All right, so it says broadcasting, but it'll be delayed by a second. So what's up, guys? I'm just giving it a second until I could actually see myself. So I see myself. So it says broadcast. Let me mute.
Okay, there we go. It's muted.
All right, so it's muted. So guys, I'm privileged to have both Matthew, who's sold over $1 million on Amazon in less than 9 months, and Jason, who's been in this whole Amazon game for a very long time. Um, I don't like this is going to be amazing. But anyway, so Matthew, you want to just introduce yourself really quickly, and then Jason will introduce himself, and then we can get into it.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Matthew. I've been doing internet marketing since about 2012. Started doing e-commerce back in 2015. And the event where I got exposed to Amazon would, if you guys go back through the lives, if you recall, and some of you have been watching for a while, but I talk about the $25,000 inner circle that I invested in. And it had nothing to do with e-commerce, but I had met several people there that were doing e-commerce. Jason was one of the people that was at the event. And then there was a guy there named Andres who was doing the private label, who exposed me to private label, which is what led me to doing private label. So I was doing that for a few years. And then October of 18 last year, like 9 months ago, 10 months ago, I started drop shipping on Amazon and have done $1 million in sales since, and have also helped. Well, we have like 3 students now that are doing 100,000 a month as well. So it's been pretty amazing. But
So
yeah.
yeah, Jason, like
Hello,
we know
guys.
who you are, but
Yeah, my name's Jason O'Neill. I have been selling on Amazon now for 5.5 years. So I got started in this business coming off of a network marketing type of deal. Prior life to that was in the corporate space. What I love about drop shipping is how anybody can actually do it. I fell in love with it from the get-go because, like me, when I was starting in this business, I really didn't have a whole lot going for myself other than I knew that I could sit at my coffee table. I remember starting and I knew I could sit at my coffee table and spend a couple hours every single day finding a product from a retailer that was selling for more on eBay or quickly became Amazon because Amazon had all the eyeballs. So in the very, very beginning of
so
this
you started on eBay.
what's that?
Did you start on eBay?
Started on eBay, yes,
Okay.
yes. For the first 2 months or so was doing eBay and started on Amazon pretty quickly into the game. About a month after getting started selling on Amazon. And yeah, like it was kind of crazy because at the time it was a little bit of the Wild West. There wasn't a whole lot of people doing it. So the opportunity, I remember getting started the opportunity at that time was like the big advantage that I had on the market was like I figured out that like these repricers existed, right? So at the beginning of the whole thing, like nobody knew anything about software. There was no softwares doing what our software does. I'm also the founder of a software company called Ecom Solutions, and the reason why we built it in the very beginning was because we had to use spreadsheets to manage our inventory. So we started listing products from wholesale or like retailers. And, you'd start selling stuff and it would be out of stock by the time it would sell. And, we had to start hiring virtual assistants to kind of like push a button over and over and over. That didn't get to be super scalable. So we built our software to kind of automate that process, because like you, Matthew, I started teaching people. I came from Russell Brunson's inner circle. And I remember having my first call with him. I was like, hey, I want to start teaching people the idea of outsourcing. And he was like, no, nobody wants to buy any outsourcing training. You need to wrap outsourcing around like your drop shipping thing, what you're doing, because you're doing it a little bit different than everybody else out in the market is. Everybody else is teaching like do it on Shopify or something like that. You're doing a little bit different. So, we started a company called Outsource Lifestyle. It was a training company for a while. We reinvested our profits in that company to our initial build out, which is Ecom Solutions, which seems like a lifetime ago. It's funny because the initial build out of our software cost us $6,000. and I probably pay that a week in development now. On the software, like it's kind of nuts how that's happened. But we've just continued to evolve in this space. I've been heavily involved in it every day, for the last 5.5 years. The good, the bad, the ugly. There's probably not a whole lot that I haven't encountered on the marketplace myself, and just
on Amazon, that is, right?
On Amazon, yeah. I don't know much about eBay. I haven't sold on there in forever. However, I see you guys kind of go through the same issues that we go through on Amazon. What do they call it? The MC 103?
Yeah, MC 01.
Yeah. So, that's the Amazon dropship policy right there, right? So, we've been navigating those waters for the last couple of years, which has kind of evolved into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Right, which is the kind of the wholesale evolution of the business. So I think that there's a good opportunity for a bright future if you understand how to capitalize on it.
And something you said is very similar to when we started on eBay. No one had price changes and all this stuff, because when I first started to drop ship on eBay, this had to be 2011, so 8 years ago. When an item went out of stock, you could just give them the money back and nothing would happen. eBay wouldn't penalize you, right? And then when they changed, we had initially just built a little script that used the APIs from Walmart and all those other retailers that will send me an email, and I was sleeping with headphones on, and when I get an email that a price change, I will wake up, change my price, and go back to sleep until I had money to pay a VA to do that same nonsense. And then it evolved. I slept with headphones on for about 6 months. So when people complain about this is too hard and stuff, I'm just dude, I was broke, sleeping with headphones on in Latin America, waiting for Walmart to change prices.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you, man, it's crazy to believe what's possible now. I sometimes look at it and I say, man, I might have created all of my own competition over the last couple of years. Because in the beginning, when there wasn't any automation to any of this stuff, the barrier of entry was substantially harder.
Yeah.
Right? You used to have to, really you'd have to grind a lot harder than someone has to grind these days to kind of get up and running. And now it's on the flip side, all these softwares have made it to where you can run the store on less ROIs. The ROI used to be maybe 25%, and now it's more along the lines of 10%, right?
Yeah.
But you make it up with less labor, more efficiencies in other areas. So software gives and takes away at the same time.
So guys, there are 27 of you guys watching live. Smash the like button. Hello, it's not. I'm not sure, Gene. I'm not sure what you're talking about. What's not working? But so where do we start, guys? So we want to compare the difference in between what we do retail and what we do wholesale. So maybe Matthew, you are who I look to for direction on the retail side. So just when we talk about Amazon dropshipping using retailers, you want to just kind of explain what we talk about, what type of results you have, and what suppliers we use and that type of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I don't know much about the wholesale stuff. Jason knows about retail and wholesale, but I'll just tell you from my experience what I love about retail. And yeah, in terms of the results, I could, if you guys just want to do another, I know you guys don't ever get sick of this, so I'll just do it real quick.
That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, so today so far it's at 56.64 in sales. Last 7 days, 62,000. Last 15 days, 150. Last 30, 229. And I have between 30 and 40 products active. So less than 40 active products, and the results maintain pretty good. And over the weekend, it was 19, 20 grand in sales. But the reason that I love retail is, again, I came from private label. And with private label, number one, you have to invest a lot of money up front. Generally, a lot of people that sell training on it will say, oh, you can start with 500. They'll show you an item on AliExpress or Alibaba, whatever. But that's nonsense. To actually, if you know what it takes to sell, to rank, to do the marketing, you have to invest thousands of dollars in inventory, number one. Number two, it takes, it could take up to 2 months for your product to even go to market. So before you could even begin generating sales, before you could even begin doing anything, you're invested out of pocket. And again, 2 months goes by without anything happening whatsoever. So that was what I was used to. And then once your product gets there, you got to start doing a lot of marketing, whether it's Amazon PPC, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's just doing giveaways. You have to spend a lot of money marketing the item. With retail, the reason I love it, just like what Jason said earlier, anybody that has a couple hours a day can start within 1 or 2 days of learning the correct information. They can start listing items literally the same day they learn what it takes to find winning items. And within 24 hours, they could begin making money. Now, for me, it took me like 5 days to get my first sale. I put my first listing up October 25th. First sale came in October 30th. A lot of students put listings up, and within 24 hours, they're getting sales. So I'm not saying you're going to do it in 24 hours, but it's a possibility. Whereas with other means of making money on Amazon, it could take months. And then again, margins are about 10%, but you can, with Amazon, it's very predictable. The way that I do it, at least, it's pretty predictable. It's very scalable because I don't just list random things. So that's the other thing I like about retail is that you can scale it pretty quickly. It's pretty predictable. If you know what you're doing, you can start making money right away. And you don't need to have a lot of money up front to begin getting sales. Now, to do big numbers, you do need a lot of money or credit. Like you can't go do 30 grand in sales if you don't have cash or credit. But after 3 months, you can get payability and you can then scale with payability. So I know I said a lot, but those are some of the things I
Can I piggyback on that real quick? Also,
sure.
the nice thing about the retail side is you don't have to set up any relationships. You know, like you don't have to go about finding a supplier. I mean, you already know who Home Depot is, right? You already know who Walmart is. They've already done so much of the heavy lifting with getting relationships built with brands and with suppliers that you can literally tie into millions of products just like that, you know, like, and when you understand the concept of what it is that we do as drop shippers, all you like there's two variables, right? It's what's it selling for in the open market, and we consider Amazon or eBay the open market, or Walmart or any marketplace that third-party sellers are allowed to sell on, and where can you find that product for less, right? And will they fulfill, right? So I guess that's the third variable to this. Will that supplier fulfill? If you can mark off all three of those things, as long as you understand that, you can go about making money today. In retail, I mean, well, all the guesswork's been taken out because, you know, Home Depot's fine with it. They don't mind. A whole bunch of retailers don't really mind. They've got fulfillment already in place, so you can literally tie into millions of products in a relative short period of time. And what's crazy about your strategy is, I mean, when I first heard you last week saying you only had 35 products listed, I was just like, I was literally, we listed 35 products in 1 hour today, bro. And I'm like, this guy has 35 products listed total. It's like, shit, man, like you're doing things a whole different way, but it goes to show you that there's not just one way either to go about doing it. Like you have a little bit of an edge in the way that you're able to access products or access, I guess, you know, funds. What do you like? You tell people you use gift cards, right? So you're able to get access to gift cards at discounts that are greater than what I ever thought was possible. You know, like I always thought Raise was like the only place, or you can go to like another. I think you named, when I talked to you the other day, you were like naming off gift card companies. I got on the internet afterwards, and I'm like looking up all these gift card companies.
Yeah.
So. But
Card Bazaar is one of the popular ones that give you pretty, like we've talked about it on the channel a couple of times. Card Bazaar is one of them that give you decent margin.
For a lot of people, though, they think, like you said, they think Raise is, and a lot of people who teach eBay drop shipping, especially, they all recommend Raise. And so like people think Raise is You know, and then they talk about how you can stack it with cash back, which I talk about that as well. But that's like I only buy off Raise if that's like my last option, just to save some money. You know what I mean? But
So Jason, tell us a little bit about the wholesale side. What does that process look like? Like
So
you talked about we have an
wholesale-
advantage with retailers and the relationships, and how does that process differ from the retail, using retailers as suppliers?
So when you understand like the supply chain a little bit, every product starts with being manufactured, right? Like the brand manufactures the product, and usually there's a couple different ways that they get distribution of those products, right? One way is for them to sell directly. Very few of them at this point. I mean, this is a whole nother conversation. There's a big opportunity to help brands go straight to consumer, but we'll put ourselves out of business once they all do it. However, we'll make them as consultants for them. So that's one thing. But however, the brands right now, they usually go through two different channels. They either sell directly to a retailer, right? So you'll contact some of the brands and you'll say, hey, I want to get set up to be a reseller of your products. And they'll say, well, we don't sell to resellers, or we only sell to brick and mortar stores, right? So
one second, Jason. 1 second. Guys, all the questions you guys have, we'll take it more to the end of the live, because Jason, Matthew, and I are just going to go through, just talk about this comparison. So those of you guys who already started to post questions, we'll get to those at the end of the live. Sorry about it. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Cool. So like you pick up a phone, like the initial reach out, guys, if you want to know some secrets how to find wholesalers, just call the brand up. Like go find a product that you're selling in your store, whether you're selling on eBay, whether you're selling on Amazon, pick up the phone, call that brand and say, hey, can I figure out how to become a reseller of your products? And they're going to either tell you, no, well, we're not accepting resellers, or we only sell to brick and mortar. Do you have a physical location, right? So that's why like some retail stores are great, because they get access to product lines that nobody else gets access to, right? The ease of getting set up with those brands is substantially harder, right? And so you have those brands that are only selling to brick and mortar, right? That's where retail is great. And then you have other brands that they don't have those connections that way, right? So they go through more traditional lines, which are going to be called like wholesalers or distributors, right? And so the way that distributors usually operate is they're either buying and they want you to buy it in bulk, right? We're not really interested in those guys. We're looking for the ones that will buy and hold and be willing to drop ship for us, right? So those guys are more serving probably in the supply chain, more almost as like traditional retailers, right? Because they're actually taking all the risk of purchasing the products. And a lot of times they'll have access to 30 or 40,000 SKUs, right? So it's not like they're not tiny little companies. They're multi-million-dollar operations. They've got lots of credit lines established. They've got the relationships established, and they're a lot easier to get set up with, right? So usually you'll say to a brand like, hey, can you point me in the direction of a distributor? Like, and they'll give you a list of distributors, and then you can start reaching out to the distributors and just figure out which ones drop ship, right? And then some of them are going to say yes, some of them are going to say no. But the whole idea, the whole concept is, I would say the lines are becoming blurred between retail and wholesale in the way that you don't necessarily make substantially bigger ROIs, although on some products you do. Like I'm having some products where I'm doing really, really well with the ROI, and then some products not so much, right? Like where it's just like selling from a retailer, you know? So however, the benefits of a wholesale is you're following the policy, right? Like when they ship it out, they use your name on the packing slip. It's not coming in a branded box, you know? So you don't have the fear. I call it peace of mind, right? Peace of mind of not having to worry about what happens when someone finds out it came from Walmart, right? You guys ever get that question from students? What happens when you find out it's from Walmart? That's the first question you get, right? The moment I sell stuff from Walmart, that's the very first question. So, you know, like it's a way with that. However, you know, the challenge that you have to overcome is, you know, wholesalers, you have to actually like either go onto a chat form and fill out a form and get rejected in some cases, pick up the phone and get rejected in some cases, or, you'll get some. A lot of them aren't that hard to do. I think a lot of people put this like heavy weight on, the fear of like the rejection side of things. I think of wholesale, like sourcing wholesalers. I think of like sourcing products, like law of large numbers wins in everything. Like the more of them that I get set up with, the more opportunities I'm going to find someone that's good.
Yeah, but I think where some of that fear comes from is, okay, so a lot of us marketers, right, that have like YouTube channels and like market drop shipping, make it seem like such like, okay, you wake up, you could pay for this course, and a week later you're going to be selling, right? So a lot of people, when they want to get into drop shipping, because they have that concept in their mind, they don't even want to go down the road of that, like dealing with wholesalers and negotiating and getting a tax ID number, stuff that a typical entrepreneur would think of as like a part of the process. But now you have a lot of marketers like ourselves who are promoting this stuff to people. A lot of these guys who are into drop shipping, in my opinion, shouldn't even be starting businesses. But because
you and me both, man, you and me
both. Exactly. But because of the barrier to entry in this game that we're playing has become so low, people don't even want to get into like business models that are a little bit more difficult than let's just upload some pictures and descriptions to these platforms and make some money. So I think part of the reason why we come across that problem because of that, because like, again, I'm a different type of, like, there are a lot of marketers who just want to like get their course sold and they wouldn't go into like the actual challenges, the pros and cons of the different business models. So I think that's where a lot of that nonsense comes from.
Man, I have tried to do, like in the 5.5 years that I've been selling on Amazon, I've tried multiple businesses. Like the software business is really hard. That's it's really, really hard to get clients and then to keep clients, like that's, those are two big challenges that you have on the software side. But man, I've tried like marketing, like every business requires marketing unless you're drop shipping, like really that's what it boils down to. For like the average person to be able to build a business without having to spend $1 on marketing, it's absurd. Like it really is absurd. So I mean, sure, the business has its challenges and its warts. However, compared to everything else out there, I mean, gosh, I don't think that I've ever seen anything as easy. Like as long as you understand the concept, which is finding a product that someone will fulfill for less than it's selling over here. Wherever that over here is, Amazon right now is just a marketplace. Ideally, the best case scenario for all of us is other marketplaces pop up over the years for resellers to be able to leverage what it is that we do as resellers, like other places that have eyeballs the way that Amazon does. But yeah, you're right, man. I think a lot of people, even in my own community of people that have been with me for years, getting them to like get wholesale relationships established has been really, really challenging. I mean, I've taught it for years at this point, and it's almost like because retail is so easy that it's going to take a mass effort on Amazon's part to like really like enforce the drop ship policy until people start doing it. There will be early adopters to it. Not that the model's it's not like a new model. However, I don't think from a technology standpoint it's ever been easy up until now, right? Like we made it easy, but like for years we've been trying to like solve this wholesale dropship thing, and we couldn't do it because it was kind of challenging to be able to source the products and figure the whole thing out. How much does it cost to ship a product? And the effort that went into that is there's some things that the retailers solve for you that make it easy. Like the one thing I'm sure everybody here probably knows that there's no such thing as free shipping, right? Does everybody know that? There's no such thing as free shipping, right? So like when you're dealing with a wholesaler, one of the downsides to it is they're not gonna announce most of them, right? Most of them don't tell you how much it's gonna cost to ship because they don't even know how much it's gonna cost to ship. I mean, you have those conversations with them and their technology is bad too. So, you have if you have no technology and they have no technology, good luck, right? So, yeah, man. I mean, the retailers have kind of like solved that. That's another one of the pros in the retail side is they've solved that big problem of figuring out how much is it actually going to cost to get this product delivered. You know, they've got that built into that free shipping cost. I promise you.
Yeah, so it's funny because like last year, we were building a table tennis retail store, right? So I used to play table tennis professionally, but that's a whole other story. But because of that, I have friends who are actual professional table tennis players, and they got us connections with suppliers in the table tennis like space, right? And when we were building the store, because I'm so used to drop shipping from retailers, that same thing came up. I'm ready to put free shipping on my website, and like one of the biggest brands in the world is Stiga. So I'm talking to Stiga, and I'm like, so how much is shipping for this item? They're like, well, the same thing you just said. We don't know because we don't know where we're sending it. And then as we started to build out that store and upload hundreds of SKUs, then we realized that is like, I've never actually heard someone speak in detail about that advantage, about that problem that the retailers had solved for us. And I came into that problem when we were building a table tennis store last year. And that is a huge problem because when buyers don't want to know, like, the free shipping increase your conversions, right? Because a lot of people add to their cart, and when they check out, like, I don't want to pay $90 to receive a table tennis board. I'm gonna just go to Walmart, right? So yeah, that's actually interesting. I didn't
know that with wholesale that shipping's not free.
You learned something today. Like someone's got to pay it.
Yeah.
Gail asked, she said, some wholesalers charge a monthly or annual fee to sell. This was for you, Jason. And she said, what are your thoughts on these, like Sunrise Wholesale, those types of companies? What do you think about them?
You know, worth a shot, right? I've never dealt with any of them personally that charge. I guess you can maybe look at it from an angle of if they charge, maybe less people are selling from them. Maybe they pass the savings along to you. So it's worth a shot, right? It never hurts to give it a shot. I guess I don't know how much Sunrise Wholesalers charges. I think I've run across their name.
I think it's like $200 a year or something like that.
So yeah, I don't know like whether 200's a lot, it's a little. I don't know if it's like over a monthly period or you know.
Yeah, it's 200 a year.
You pay up front. So you know, I mean, I'm only doing business with 4. And it's so funny because like a couple of them we've had relationships established with for years. And to tell you just like you don't know what you don't know until you try something. I kind of like made these initial false guesses that the companies that I found, because I found them through inventory source, were going to be kind of like what's a good term for it? Hoard out, right? So I thought that they were going to literally have no real opportunity to make any sales. I just figured that anything that's going to sell, it's just going to be like retail. It's going to have no ROIs. So I like that was the kind of like the conversation that I had in my head for years until you guys may or may not know, but my mom actually works with me. She's worked with me since day one. And I think it's amazing that I get to work with my family every day. But she kind of kept in my ear. She's like, we need to try these guys. We need to try these guys. I was like, all right, whatever. Try them. That sounds good. Just, you know, so my mom actually like initially, so for you, Gail.
And Gail is my internet mother. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's cool. She's family too. So so mom actually initially figured out how to well, so we built in our technology to be able to take a product file from any supplier. As long as we have the UPC and the cost of the product, we can match what's on Amazon, right? So like the initial kind of like thing that mom did was, you know, she downloaded our results and then she would kind of like, you know, we built a pretty cool little thing, but she was able to, you know, bulk upload for the most part, those products into Amazon, right? So like we were able to list thousands of products, literally thousands of products within a fairly short period of time, compared to like the onesie twosie way that you usually do it on retail. Like that takes a lot of time. Thousands of products, and come to find out, the same wholesalers that I said there's no opportunity on these guys, everything's just like not going to work. The same exact wholesalers, only doing business with a couple of them, that energy has been worth thousands of dollars in profit per hour, right? Like thousands of dollars in profit per hour. You know, the kind of the connection that you have to solve. So I would say the ones that solve the problem for you are going to be your best ones out of the gate, which are the ones that tell you how much it's going to cost to ship stuff, right? So some wholesalers already give you the shipping, and then you add it, and then you have your kind of formula for how you're going to mark the product up, right? Cost of the product plus shipping is your total cost, and then you have your markup to account for the Amazon fees, right? So the ones that solve that problem for you, wow, how quickly you could be up and running with one supplier, and have thousands of opportunities for sale. And like one of the benefits of wholesale is you are getting stuff a lot of times at better pricing. You know, heavy stuff, you're probably not going to get the best pricing on shipping, but something that's small like this, right? This is a pruning shears. You know, these things cost $3 a ship, right? Like they're not going to cost a whole lot. So it's going to cost $3 no matter who's sending it, right? And like a lot of the wholesalers, they'll pass those savings along to you. I've got one wholesaler that their most expensive shipping is $7.95. So how do they offer something like that, right? The way that they generally will do it is they'll kind of mark up the products a little bit to account for it, right? So instead of giving you a straight 25% markup, you might be paying a 32% markup on their cost, right? But because we've done business for so many years selling retail stuff, it's like, well, we're already selling the most marked up stuff as it is. So, you know, that's still better than not having access to that product in the first place, right? Like my philosophy is easy. If I have 1 million products for sale, a little different than yours, Matt, but if I had 1 million products for sale and every single one of those products sells one time per year, that's 1 million sales in a year, right?
Jesus.
So,
That's a good way. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
you know, so like for me, it's a matter of how quickly can I get to 1 million, right? So like that's the perk of wholesale is it's a lot easier to be able to source in bulk versus the retail side where, you know, it's more onesie twosie. I mean, we figured it out how to do it, but
I don't know what you think about this either, but like, so I actually met Gail as well in Nicaragua. She was at the grind camp house, grind camp house, not dropship house. It was a grind camp. Either way, I remember when she would keep getting sales, and I was like, "What?" Like I asked her the wholesaler, and again, I don't think you mind, Gail, because again, Sunrise Wholesale is like a bunch of people know about it. But either way, though, Sunrise Wholesale works in that way that you pay like $200 a year, and then you can upload thousands of products at a time if you want to your store. And then, just like you said, it's like you give yourself more opportunities. But in my experience, and again, I don't know what you think because you've done both. So when I've had items in my store that weren't performing, like, so in the beginning, I would test different things. Like I'll find an item maybe that sold, I don't know, like 300 times a day. And I would see Amazon sold it, but I was the lowest drop shipper. So I wanted to see how that would work, for example. And I would see I would get literally no sales. But I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, I'm listening. I got it.
Okay. So bottom line is, though, is that like I feel like when I remove items that get a lot of impressions but don't sell, my overall store seemed to perform a lot better. So like you don't think that when you have thousands of products in your store that are never selling, like that doesn't affect the overall performance of your store? Or do you think it just doesn't have any effect?
That's a good question. You know, so like it's so hard to tell. You know, I think that Amazon has a kind of like an algorithm that they build in that rotates the buy box on all of your products. And one thing that I have noticed, like that I can kind of like point to when I can't say like products that don't sell, how it affects. I would just say those products probably have no eyeballs. Nobody's looking at them, or the listings are just poor. And that's why their sales rank is poor, right? Either the product itself doesn't convert, it's mispriced. A lot of times people misprice products too, like their maximum prices are just jacked up through the roof, like for some reason they're marking up retail 100%. Sure, there might be 3 people in the world that are going to pay that like over the course of a year, but chances of making sales when your prices are all jacked up like that are probably slim, right? So I don't know what your pricing strategies are. I know that whenever I make wide sweeping changes, like if I go into my repricer and I say, I'm going to move my minimum margin down or up, like I've noticed there's a correlation to sales really slowing down for upwards of almost 24 hours. Because I think that it takes things out of the buy box. Like the algorithm has to like reset itself, kind of like making changes maybe to a Facebook ad, right? Like where you hear about when you change a Facebook ad, it throws it out of the algorithm. It has to reset itself. Probably a lot like that, the way that Amazon works. So I don't know if it's so much. So like I've been kind of like wondering, because we do list so many products that usually when I put a whole bunch of new products in the store at one time, for example, like right before this call, I put like 250 products in the store.
So crazy.
Yeah, right. And I don't really know. I'm working on this hypothesis. Now, I don't know if I can prove this right or wrong. That's the thing. Like, I really don't know if I can prove it right or wrong. I do know one thing. The more eyeballs that I get, if my buy box percentage stays relatively equal, for example, I get 2% buy box share across all of my listings, right? If you look in Amazon, if you look at what your buy box share is across all of your listings, I don't know, like you ever look at your business reports?
Yeah.
You want to know what my buy box percentage? Well, right now it's like, I'll tell you what it is now, but
I'm gonna check mine also.
Like, you don't believe it. I mean, I don't just pull numbers out my ass, but I would pull it up on the lives. Like, dude, my buy box has been as high as 60%. Like right now it's at 35%.
That's on like Amazon's business reports. Like if you look at your business.
If I go to my pricing dashboard.
Oh, okay. That pricing dashboard. Yeah.
If I go to my pricing dashboard, so let me just make sure, like I'll show you. I just want to make sure nothing here is. Okay, so I'll share my screen with you. So.
Yeah, yours is so much higher than mine. So,
so like some days, like the lowest it was, like this day it was 8%. I don't know why it was. And that might have been when my order defect rate, it went over 1% for like a couple days. So that might have been then.
Yeah.
But generally, though, it's like, look, dude, it's like, and usually when it's like down to 18%, it's usually when my handling time is 5 or 6 days. But if I have like 3-4 day handling time, I'm always around 30%. Like look up here, 48%, 47%. Right. And if we go back a few months, so when you say 2%, it's just, but again, like it's just amazing, like how many different ways you can.
Yeah, because I'm looking at mine too. I'm down to 8%, but my handling time right now is 8 days.
Oh, exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Like on Friday, I was up to 27%.
Wow. Wow.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, I think that like my strategy is so different in the fact that, if I look at it like, cause like with that, all right, it only takes a couple people, although it's probably hard to do because you're able to kind of get the gift cards at the prices that you're able to get them at. So it's a little different than the average person. But like, I always look at every product as having a shelf life, right? Like every single product that I sell has a shelf life until someone is going to get a hold of that thing and sell it for less, So like, but it's a fluid marketplace also, right? So like a lot of people will spend all of their time like removing inventory, but who's to say that in 3 months from now, whoever's selling that product, they no longer want to replenish it, or, you know, they might be using a different supplier than I'm using, and that supplier doesn't replenish it. And now that's magically back up for sale and starting to make sales again, right? So I try not to guess what the market's going to do, right? Because I don't really know. So that's why, like, for me, it's like if I have 1 million products for sale that sell one time per year, I have to process 1 million orders. I can't even process 1 million orders. Like I would have to have like a team of 100 people just processing orders all day, right? I'm not at that level. I don't even have the money to process that many orders, you know. But so I kind of always built it using a different strategy. Like I look at like I calculate something that's called the sell-through rate, right? So like I take how many products.
There's a sell-through rate on eBay that the same thing, Matthew, the question that you asked Jason about if, like, I've noticed that the sell-through rate on eBay does affect the entire store, right? And I have enough data to figure it out. But sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No worries. No worries. It's just easy math for me that I look at how many products I have listed versus, and this is like a snapshot at one moment, right? So it might be like if I want to look at my last 30 days sales, I say how many products do I have listed right now, and then I take the amount of sales that I did, and then that will give me the percentage of my products that sell, right? So just using like kind of like a forecasting method to that, I can also come up with how much I actually earn per listing as well, right? So I know that if I make 4 cents per listing every single day and it only costs me a half a penny to find that product, I'm literally 8 timesing my money every single day, right? Like just as long as I can manage everything within that spread, right? So I just kind of like I arbitrage pennies, I guess, is the best way to look at my philosophy.
You know what, though, and I love it too, because like even just, and again, in our inner circle, like for this, there's been like 60 to 70 students now, so it's like relatively small, but like we've still got a lot of feedback and data. And like one of like the concerns people do have with the approach that I use is that like they're not finding, you know, hundreds and thousands of items. Like they might find only 2 or 3 listings in a day. And so I always tell them, like, this is my strategy. And there's a lot of people who make great living, like they make a ton of money, a lot more money than I make for sure, even, that do it the other way, where they list items that might sell once every 90 days. You know, it might last 30 days. You might see 0 sales, but it still might have like a 150,000 rank. So, you know, it will sell. And a lot of times those items do get better margins as well. But I think that for those of you guys watching, like, this is a great live for you guys, because you can see whether you're in the inner circle or not, there's more than one way to build the business. And even in the inner circle, like we have students that, even though I use cards, they don't use cards. Like they're going on Overton's, for example. There's no gift cards. They just literally go from the supplier to Home Depot, or they're using like Raise with their 2% cards, and they're using Card Bazaar and things like that. So again, it's like you guys can literally do it. You can do it the way where there's volume. You can do it where you're listing less items. Like there's more than one way to do it, is the point.
I think I'm on the extreme side. Like I'm definitely on the extreme side over here to like just massive law of large numbers, right? Like I have a lot of clients too that they don't just go crazy the way that I go. So it's kind of like a mixture between like the way that you do it, where you find really high ranking stuff, and there's a little bit of a mixture. You're probably on the extreme side with the little numbers, and there's a lot of people, like you said, that do very, very well in the middle there. Like I I got so close a couple months ago to hitting 1 million in sales in a month that, it's like I'm trying to get back to that point right there. One of the downsides.
You can do it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I know this business. I know this business as good as anybody in the world. Like, I know the retail drop shipping. I know drop shipping in general. Like I screwed myself, right? So like we sold like I don't know, a couple 100,000 from one new supplier, and a lot of the shipments were freight shipments. So we had a lot of issues with those shipments in the first place. And then they were actually drop shipping. It was like we were selling a lot of appliances. Right?
What do you do with freight shipments? Did you hear about, like, for the valid tracking purposes? What is your solution to that?
I don't really care about that stat that much. You know, like
really?
The stat's pretty much irrelevant. I've never heard them do anything. I don't know how it affects buy box share. But it's just
I've seen sales tank, man. Like, my sales have tanked when my valid tracking goes below 95%.
Really?
But they didn't suspend me, obviously. So, and it always usually fixes itself, but you don't even pay attention at all. Like, you just
I pay attention, but like we built it into the software to basically handle that whole metric, right? Like the metric, but we don't do a lot of freight shipments now. So I can't really say that, you know, we do anything in particularly different on a freight shipment and how it affects valid tracking. What happened to us is we decided that we were just going to go crazy and push for that million in a month. And, you know, a good bit of it ended up going sideways because we were selling stuff that they didn't actually have in their warehouse. Right. So the way that this company was kind of operating was they would, I guess drop ship is a good term for it. But they would have to buy it from the manufacturer, receive it in their warehouse, and then ship it out. Right. So that process for like some big appliances could be 14 to 30 days handling time. So like, we'd have 4 days handling time. So we had a whole bunch of real pissed off customers like messaging us, what the hell is wrong with you guys? And eventually Amazon, you know, they got privy to it. And they didn't like it. You know, I might not always be the perfect example of like what not to do. People operate really cautiously, and it's like you really hold yourself back from making money when you're overly cautious. Like I understand cautious, but you know, some people like they go through like 6 different steps to just, you know, get a listing put up, you know.
Right.
And I've always looked at, you can't sell what you're not listing. So
yeah, and the other day when we were talking, Jason, I had asked you, and I want to just bring it up again because like it's a concern for a lot of people. The downsides of drop shipping from retailers is that you're breaking the rules. So a lot of people have that fear. And I told you what I always tell people, and I'll repeat it. I say it on these lives, like, and I tell people that consider the inner circle. I'll answer them straight up. Like in my experience, I've never seen someone just get suspended because they were drop shipping. Like it always was because something else happened first, whether it was several cancellations, several negative feedback, late shipments, whatever. But, and again, I know what you told me on the phone, but can you just repeat it just for people watching that? Because it's a legit concern. But I always tell people, like, if you know what you're doing, if you have excellent customer service, if you are on top of your shipments, like you know the supplier you're working with, so you're not getting a bunch of late shipments, then you really don't have to worry so much. It's only if you screw up. Like, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree. You know, for the longest time, Amazon didn't ever really notify you when they knew that you were violating the dropship policy. It was kind of always like one of those things where, you know, it's like they know what you're doing, you know, but they never really enforced it. I think of it as almost like getting a speeding ticket, right? To where if you get one speeding ticket, not a big deal. You get a bunch of speeding tickets, your insurance goes up. You keep getting speeding tickets, they take your license away, right? So it's kind of like that where, you know, they'll let you get away with it as long as customers are leaving the situation happy, right? So a lot of people are probably more concerned with being right than they are, you know, because like we all know that customers, they can be difficult, right? Like customers are not always right. However, Amazon puts them into the category as the customer is almost always right. So you have to, a lot of times, be able to separate yourself from trying to probably be right and make that customer as happy as you possibly can. That way, when it's coming from a retailer, it's, you know, in the event that your account's being reviewed for whatever reason, they're going to review it. They're not looking at the fact that you're arguing with customers about, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, there's a lot of things that people don't reveal to why their stores are getting suspended for various different reasons, right? Like the one thing that I've never heard is Amazon suspending someone solely on the dropship policy, you know, like solely because they're drop shipping from Walmart. I mean, I've had theories that if you don't use Walmart, you reduce the risk of getting a complaint that a product came from Walmart. However, that hasn't dissuaded people. Like our biggest supplier on our platform is Walmart every single month. You know, so even with the dropship policy, even with Amazon warning people, even with infringements, it's still the #1 supplier on our platform. You know, so I don't know, man. Like I guess like I think it's like you can, I don't know, like it's almost like they wait until you get to where you've done many millions of dollars in sales before they ever even like bring it up. You know, like they don't, they never brought it up to me until we're at the $10 million in sales mark. And that's like the only people that I ever really hear about getting notified of the dropship policy are those people that have actually done enough sales for Amazon to probably in their algorithm or whatever they use to kind of catch it, for them to have so many different strikes against you to where they finally notify you and say, hey, we know what you're doing. You're violating the policy and this is how we know. Or they don't even tell you that. They just, what are you going to do to stop it? Right.
But what about when they ask in the beginning, some brand new accounts, they ask for invoices and so on, right? That's another question.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of the new accounts, sometimes they ask for invoices in the beginning. We get a lot of people asking questions about that. Like we've had, so we manage multiple Amazon accounts for a couple different people.
17.
And yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
And counting. And we've gone through that and provided invoices, like we bought in bulk from retailers, and that's got us around it. But like, I don't think we've gone through that enough times to know for sure that that would work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like when people ask me those questions, like we don't scale brand new accounts very quickly. We do our own precautions to make sure that that doesn't happen. But have you had dealt with that stuff as well? Like,
so yeah, last year before Christmas, a seasoned account, right? This was an account. This was the account that I've had forever. Right before Christmas, got a request from Amazon to provide invoices. So for like these 3 different toys that we're preparing to sell, and they're all coming from Walmart. And we're like, well, we don't have invoices, but this is where we're getting the product from. Like, here's the link to the product. This is the exact link to the product. So they basically, they didn't let us sell in the toys category last year for Christmas, which it was still a very profitable Christmas. Like, I can't imagine how much better it would have been had we had toys. But so yeah, man, I don't know like how to get around that one either. It's been a big one. I wish that I had the solution to that. You know, I guess my solution has kind of been like if we're going to, you know, survive as e-com, and if we're going to be able to navigate these waters, like I've got to have something to where, that's why I've really been pushing so much at the wholesale side. Cause like I want to prove to myself that there's an opportunity on that side versus, you know, like what we all know, retail provides a great opportunity. It's got its warts, it's got its challenges. You know, I've always thought that like, all right, so now in the event that they start asking for invoices, I can say, well, hey, this is my supplier, and it's not, you know, going to be frowned upon the way it gets frowned upon when you say, hey, I'm buying the product here from Walmart, or, you know, like, and I don't have the invoice because I'm drop shipping it. You know, you can't really, like, you can tell them like I'm buying it from Walmart, but you don't actually have it in your possession, right? And they're asking for you to see an invoice like that you bought this product before we're asking for the invoice in the amount that you say you're selling, right?
Right. So what I've done on eBay is like some of my top items, I would buy like 5 of them or 10 of them. So I'll actually have an invoice that I shipped 5 or 10 of them to me. You know what I mean? But that would be some of my, but that's because I have data and I was selling before. Some of these guys who get these invoices just started to sell on Amazon, and now they want invoices even before they're selling, right? So it's a weird, as I said, we've gotten around it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
a weird.
Because if they just started, how could they have like a 6-month or 3-month invoice?
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's the big thing when it comes to like one of the challenges we have on the e-com side is like, man, it's getting hard to find new clients, like people who aren't already drop shipping. Like there's not a lot of new people entering into the space because the challenges that Amazon has kind of created for a new seller. Like, I don't know if you can go list 1,000 products in day one, you know, on Amazon.
That's the other thing too. So like that was
that
was like a theory. Like I don't know for a fact, but thank you. But I was just saying, like, if people are listing, if they just make an account from like day one and then they have thousands of listings like out the gate, I felt like that would be kind of suspicious. Whereas like if you only have 20, 30, 15 listings,
or 3 like that.
three, three, it feels like like that would just be like in Amazon's eyes, I feel like that would be more logical to them than someone brand new that never existed just out the gate coming out with thousands of items.
Yeah. Usually it's like, yeah, you had another store somewhere. We know it. We know that you did. Where are these products coming from? You mind if I answer a couple questions that I see?
Yeah, for sure.
Right,
But guys, there are 44 of you watching this. Smash the like button. Jason, I've known about you for a while, obviously. Like I've known about the software and stuff, but I'm really happy that we have you here. So guys, smash the like button. Jason's here. Ask as many questions as possible. We don't know how many times we're gonna have him on the channel, but yeah, go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
All right. So Ed asked, how do you keep track of pricing and inventory from wholesalers? So we upload once a day into Amazon. Like in the morning, we'll upload an inventory file into Amazon once a day. Prices don't generally change from wholesalers. So that's not too big of a deal on the price side. So once a day, and crazy enough, another one of the perks that I've realized from the wholesale dropship side is we literally have very few out of stocks. You know, it's crazy coming from a company that has built these scrapers to, you know, update inventory from retailers, and knowing that the challenges that we face on that side, because those guys don't like us scraping their sites. They're always trying to like block us. Yeah. So it's kind of like a cat and mouse game. Like over here, we update once a day and we have less out of stocks, even than the products that we're scraping, you know, periodically throughout the day, as often as we can without getting blocked, you know? So yeah, once a day, Ed, we just upload. And that's that. Prices don't really change. So I see another one. What are some wholesale drop shippers? So Amaf, I don't think anybody's ever really going to reveal their sources, right? Like that's one of those areas that's going to separate people that do the work to go find them versus the ones that don't do the work. Now, the follow-up question to that is, how do you research wholesale drop shippers? So I'm going to give you guys a couple sources. Some of them might require you pay money. Other ones are free. It just requires kind of like doing some digging. So one way, if you were on earlier, you could pick up the phone, call a brand, and say, "Hey, I'm interested in figuring out some like some brands might be willing to drop ship. So like it's worth asking that brand, do you guys drop ship?" Most of them are going to say no, right? So what you can ask for is a list of you can ask for a list of distributors, right? So just ask for a list of distributors and the brands will be happy to, a lot of times, supply that list to you. So that's going to be free, just requires a little bit of legwork to do. Other ways that you can go about it, probably something that you guys may or may not have ever thought about, but you can go through a list broker to find wholesalers, right? One could be like Info USA. We're actually probably about to buy a list because I'm about to drop a course on wholesale drop shipping combined with our software. So I'm going to have like a mixture, course plus, you know, access to the ability to source in bulk, right? And part of my offer most likely is going to be, we're also going to give you a list. I think it's 415 wholesale accounts. I don't know how many of them drop ship. However, 415 wholesalers with at least 10 employees that do anywhere from $5 to $100 million in business a year, right? So we're going to buy the list and just share that list with people who buy. So handling times, I'll let you guys handle that. So who pays return shipping on Amazon from wholesalers? I guess it all depends. A lot of times you, you're going to share it with the customer. I mean, some retailers won't pay return shipping either. So it's a lot. It's a lot
So
like.
I think that's an interesting comparison as well. When we use Walmart, they pay return shipping. When we use Home Depot, they pay, well, for most of the products, right? We get a return label and just return it for free, as opposed to the wholesalers where you have to pay return shipping.
When you do that, Mark, you guys, like, let's say someone says they bought it by mistake, and you contact, or they say they no longer need it,
Yeah.
and you contact Home Depot or Walmart to get the paid return label. Do you tell them the reason you're asking for a label? Is there something wrong with the item, or you just say that you just want a return label to return it?
It depends. It depends on if they give us a hard time. I'll start off by saying I just want a return label. And if they give it to us, great. If not, hang up and call back and speak to someone else.
Yeah, Home Depot always wants a reason. So I just always say, like, let's say it's like a vacuum. I'll say it stopped working after one use, and then I'll get a return label, and then they get it back brand new in the box. You know what I mean? But that's just so that I don't got to pay for shipping, and I don't, you know, that way they don't give me a hard time. But I was just curious how you handled that. But anyway,
Yeah, like Walmart. There are certain items Walmart wants you to drop off in the store, right? So that screws the whole thing up. So I've made a video on YouTube about it, and happily some of the retired vets laughed and commented on the video, so I'll say it again. So like if they tell me something like that, I've said in the past that I'm an injured vet and I can't get to a Walmart, so I need a return label, and they give it to me. Right?
that's how you got.
So,
Oh man!
so I tried to just go down the proper road, and if there are any roadblocks,
Walmart doesn't carry your pickups then, like Home Depot.
no, they do sometimes. Depend on the
yeah.
product and depend on, because Walmart from the data that I have in DSHNE, Walmart might drop ship about 20% of their items, right? So sometimes they don't even want it back at their warehouse. Like there's a rack that I sell that it might have been the most popular item I've ever sold, and one dude bought like 20 something from me, and then he came back and bought 20 something more like a month later. And that's what, this was like 2 years ago. And that's what made me look into like, why is he buying it from me if it's coming from Walmart? And then it made me change some stuff with the API to kind of figure out what items they drop ship and what they have in stock and blah, blah. But yeah.
Also, unique shop. Just to answer it real fast, well, I know you need a tax ID, right, to be able to buy from wholesalers. You can't do it without setting up a business, isn't that right?
Yeah. So the question is like, do you need a reseller's permit or sales license? So I would say one of the perks of wholesale, one of the major ones, you know, because I'm actually in the process of kind of spinning up a quasi, I guess, retail dropship store for my my girl, and you know, it's like I realize like the benefits that you get when you're tax exempt versus don't get when you're tax exempt. On the wholesale side, you don't need to go through that whole process of getting tax exempt on all 50 states. You know, it's fair to like, I don't know if you guys have collected sales tax, but for the longest time we've been collecting sales tax and remitting them to the states, and that's a real hassle. You know, like it's one of those things that you don't realize the perk when you're actually set up, but it's a lot of work to go through. So I think there was a question that, so like, yes, you need a reseller's permit, you know, and you probably need an EIN as well to get set up. with a whole lot of with almost all of them actually. Cost, wholesale versus drop shipping versus traditional. I'm assuming that means retail drop shipping. I don't think it costs any more. It's probably, like it just takes you to get it up,
Yeah.
How do you factor shipping costs? So we just talked about that. MF is hard. That's a challenge right now. I was talking to my dev team earlier, and probably the last little missing element to be able to spin up any wholesale relationship is that right now the best wholesalers give you shipping costs, and there's very few of them that actually do that, and most of them aren't going to give you shipping, so you're going to have to be able to calculate the best shipping rates on those products. And there's nothing that I know of where you could take a list of products with the dimensions, upload that, and calculate the best shipping rate for every single one of those products, right? It's a very manual process to do right now, which kind of destroys the ability to be able to bulk list, so that needs to be solved in order to really make wholesale drop shipping something to where it's like even the bad wholesalers or the ones that aren't quite as tech savvy, even those guys might be good as long as ordering's not a bitch. I wouldn't do whole business with a wholesaler that didn't let you order through an online portal. Like if it's like email us for your order.
Oh jeez, yeah.
Yeah, how am I going to track? Like you guys don't have an order system in place. Like, yeah, so
that's one of the things we came across when we were building the table tennis store, right? So like while we were trying to get into table tennis is because like the manufacturers and retailers haven't created like a modern brand yet in that space. So even when we were planning to place the orders and stuff, everything in that space is still old school. So you sending orders by email, you calling your rep that deals. It's just a mess. So it's interesting to hear you talk about this on Amazon because we've dealt with a lot of those challenges last year when we wanted to go down that road, and then we noticed all the reason why no one has done it yet, because there's so many roadblocks to jump, so many hoops to jump through to get there. It just wasn't worth the time.
It's a big tech challenge. It really is, because a lot of the wholesalers, they don't have very good tech. Like I was just down in Miami, I don't know, 2 months ago, and I was so jazzed up. I got to meet with these distributors, and like we're gonna be their exclusive, online sales arm. But it's like they don't have tech in place. They barely have tech in place, and it's like you're having to kind of educate them on how to build their feeds and how to put all this stuff and index their products in a way that makes it easy for us to work with it. And yeah, man, they're dealing with the same exact struggles. The ones that have good tech in place, it's almost like dealing with a retailer. But so like as you guys source wholesalers, like just think about the ones that have good tech in place versus the ones that are still, they're operating on like, it's like operating on Windows 95, right? We're in 2019, and they're still using flip phones. You know what I'm saying? Like smartphones now, they're using flip phones. But yeah, that is the big challenge, Mark, it's across the board, like a lot of brands are, man, I'm telling you, like the opportunity, guys, like the opportunity is to go straight to that brand and be like, why aren't you selling directly on market at this point? Like you guys can one-off sell. We'll manage the store for you. One for you.
It would only take one brand, man. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I know one brand that, well, we probably all do. But I was just gonna say, there's like one brand, man, that if we can get that, Jesus.
Yeah. And anyway, I wouldn't say the brand, but
I know.
So right. The question I got asked, have I ever thought of doing e-com outside of Amazon? So like setting up your own Shopify. So I have a Shopify. We started running traffic like 3 months ago, and we were making sales. It was great. We're making good ROIs, but at the end of the day, I was losing money every day. And it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know. I guess like if I do see that people sell these stores for like high multiples, even if their store is not profitable, which is, it's absurd to me. So it's like, I'm thinking of just like spending a bunch of money on traffic every day just to get a bunch of sales and then sell it on the marketplace, you know, like cause all you got to do is set up a Google shopping feed. I'm not that good at that side of things though, to be honest with you, but we are discussing building an application that will connect over to the Walmart marketplace because we feel that there's going to be an opportunity on the Walmart marketplace over the coming years to kind of be early adopters to that marketplace. The challenge, I think, is to get set up with an account with them. They don't make it as easy as Amazon has made it set up.
Have you drop shipped on Walmart?
I know people that do. And the funny thing is they're just drop shipping products from Amazon onto Walmart.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same concept, right? But they're making 55% margins. Like,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, I won't tell you what that software is charging, but it got me excited to hear. It's like they're charging how much to you know, basically bulk list the products into the account for you. An absurd amount of money to where it's like, hell man, give me 5 clients. We're good. You know, like
Matthew, I actually got on the Walmart marketplace about 2 years ago.
Do you still have an account?
No.
You know
what happened with that?
So first of all, when I wanted to get on the marketplace, I hired someone. So Jason, I live in Nicaragua, so I have relatively cheap labor, right?
Yep.
So I had someone to go through the process. And one thing that Walmart wanted is history of sales. So I had to show like my eBay account, show the amount of sales I have, the amount of items, and blah, blah, blah. And that's how we initially got the account. And at the time, I just got on there because like I wanted to see if I could automatically list on eBay all the items that I have that's not on Walmart to list on Walmart. And the tech and stuff wasn't set up properly, and the terms of service weren't outlined properly, and we broke one terms of service and they shut the account down. But it's just because there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah, right? There's 100+ million products for sale on Amazon, down from 600 million. So they had a big cleansing of products. Walmart only has, I think, 14 million.
Yeah,
or less than that. So, you know, there's a wide gap with the amount of products, you know, so that's the opportunity at the same time is closing that gap, right? Like if I happen to have this massive database full of products, which I do, I could push all those products over to the marketplace, you know? So yeah, man, I have so much product data at this point. Like I have a database. I don't think you've seen it, Mark. I sent you a quick video of it earlier, Matt. And
I was gonna ask you where that video is because I never got
it on your Facebook Messenger. So
I don't go. I gotta go on Facebook then.
Yeah. So like I don't know, like I got like 6 million products in my database right now that are selling on Amazon right now. Yeah, from 50 different retailers. You know, some that you've never heard of in your life, right? We built a cashback website.
Those are probably good. The retailers no one's heard of. I bet those have good margins. No.
Yeah, some good ones. So like I found one. They happen to be here in Jacksonville where I live. I need to like walk into their office and be like, you know, I know this sounds a little bit weird, guys, but like, have you guys noticed some random people selling their stuff on Amazon? You know, yeah, man, they're down the road from me here in Jacksonville. So yeah, like one of them, they offer free shipping, and it's like I'm telling you, I got this visual representation. This is what it looks like over here. This is what it looks like over here. So I listed like 193 products in about 6 minutes from this site, and that 193 products so far in the week and a half that it's been listed, that 6 minutes has netted me in profit over $100. Not including 8% cash back that I get.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I love the game of arbitrage. That is my passion in this world. Is like I just want to continue to be heavily involved in the game to where, you know, like we can get. I don't know. I mean, Amazon's made it awesome for all of us. I would love there to be other marketplaces that we're able to like really leverage as well. But Amazon's just where everybody's at right now, man.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. So the type of money that, and resources that Amazon puts into acquiring market share, like I don't know what it will take for someone to even get in that fight right now. Like their strategy, in my opinion, is insane. Even I've had situations where running a Shopify store and then competing on ads with fucking Amazon. That's a losing battle. That's also why I stepped away from Shopify, because my running ads on Facebook, you're competing against Amazon.
Y'all want to hear like what I think is a possible opportunity is like arbitraging Google shopping feeds to where like if you knew a product that's selling on Amazon that Amazon's not really advertising themselves, right? So maybe you're able to get it from XYZ retailer for, you know, $100. And, you know, knowing that a lot of people shop on Amazon and it's selling for 170 or 150 on Amazon,
Right.
and there's nobody else, that retailer is not advertising that product,
Google Shopping.
arbitrage that product and put that one on the Google shopping feed to capture that traffic. You know what I'm saying? I know how to do it. It's just a matter of like time connecting that puzzle.
Yeah.
And the cost of doing that. You know, there's an opportunity. I think you can get as creative as you really want to be in this space.
Yeah, but you're talking about different things, because when you see it from the technology standpoint, you see a lot more of the opportunity than just looking at it up front, right? Because you're looking at a lot of numbers. So even there's a lot of stuff that you mentioned in this call so far that a lot of people on YouTube would not have picked up on, that I need to talk to you about when we come off the live. This is interesting. Let me ask, would you be open to doing other lives as well? Because I think a lot of these questions that we're talking about here is valuable for the viewers, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
We have very different perspectives, and we could literally sit here and talk for hours more, I think. But let me see what other questions these guys have.
But to
so guys, just to let you know, I have a link to Ecom Solutions. Sorry, I have a link to Ecom Solutions in the description. Go check it out. We'll be doing some videos about Ecom Solutions on the channel, just going through some features, some added stuff that, like when Jason and they come up with new stuff, we'll do features on channel. There's also a link to the Amazon Inner Circle. It's at amznarmy.com.
You gotta refresh your page. I already fixed it though. You put .co, but I wanted
yeah. Thanks, Matthew, because when I was saying it, I was like, wait, I think I put .co in the description.
No, yeah, you did.
Okay. But yeah, go on. What other questions you guys have? Where are you getting your data from? That's what Dominic asked.
I'm not sure. I don't quite. Is that like directed to me?
My guess is, but that's such a loaded
data specific.
Like, that's what I was about to say. Like, what data? Like, there's so much. Okay, we've been on
a lot of data. Which data are you referring to?
Yeah, guys, we've been on live for an hour and 20 minutes. So,
it's
and I need
fast, hasn't it? Holy cow! I can't believe it's been an hour and a half. But yeah, I would love to come on. I enjoy these things. This is fun. Like sometimes, you know, like I do a live to like one person, so it's like, yeah.
You have a YouTube channel, not so, Jason?
I do. I periodically. I've been doing a case study for wholesale dropshipping on that channel for I guess a couple months. Like we're less than 2 months in at this point. So to kind of give you guys the opportunity, like I mentioned, I mean, I think I restricted myself for years from really embracing the wholesale side, because the retail side really is easier to get spun up and started. But from a scalability standpoint, you know, it's been a long time since I started a new store, right? So like we started our store 5.5 years ago, and my second full month selling on Amazon, like first month we had the buy box, we did 68,000, right? Second month we did 104. So this month is my second time like scaling a newer store. with the buy box. Last month we only did like 34,000. This month we have an outside shot at hitting 100. And I would say 85% of that is wholesale. I'm an addict. I can't get rid of the retail side of things completely because it's too easy. Right. So like, I don't want to make y'all think that we don't do any retail. Cause there is some benefits to it, right? Like we can make sales. Like you can source high ticket products, make a couple $100 from time to time. I mean, yeah, man, like returns are generally easy to work with. Sometimes on the wholesale side, it's not, but I mean, gosh, you combine both of them. The reason I do it that way, in the event that Amazon says, hey, blah, 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 you're violating the policy, I can very easily cut off any one supplier and say, all right, well, it's Home Depot that's getting me in trouble.
Right.
It's probably not O-betting, right? Like, who's O-betting? You don't even know, right? Like the person getting that product from O-betting, they don't care that they got that Superman blanket. They're happy that they got the Superman blanket from there, like, so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I was just kind of ripping.
No, but yeah, that's the live. We've been on this for an hour and a half, and like I want to get to my guys before the office closes. But Jason, like I'm really happy we got on this, and hopefully we could have you on again, like soon. I don't know what your schedule looks like.
I love doing this stuff, man. Just keep in touch. Just keep in touch.
So guys, we'll take a couple more questions. Let's do 5 more minutes of questions really quickly. Jason, someone asked, have you utilized Amazon pay-per-click to help drive more sales? Have you, Jason?
I've dabbled with it. I mean, I've spent money in it, not profitably, so I'm not a pay-per-click expert.
Matthew, you wanna give your opinion because Matthew has.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Jason would like to hear that case study I did, and I'll actually pull it up real fast too. But so when I launched my store in October, like in terms of listing, my store was like 7 months old, but I was just paying.
Guys, you guys continue. I need to answer this call. Sorry.
No, for sure. But here, let's go to advertising. Why is my internet so crappy? But I'll pull up this campaign manager and I'll show you. I spent like $1,000 and I did 15,000 in sales. So what I did is, like I'm sure you've heard, and I'm not gonna. Anyone who watches this channel, you guys are familiar who teaches the concept, but they coined it as like private label drop shipping, and all that is essentially buying a UPC code that you're drop shipping, whether it's from a retailer or a site like AliExpress, whatever. So what I did is, because I know private label, that was what I came from. When I saw what they were doing, like I instantly knew the concept, right? So I was like, I'm gonna buy a UPC code, and I found these turkey fryers from Webstront store. So basically, I was getting the turkey fryer for like $65. And before competitors started knocking me down, at the very beginning, I was selling it for $120. So it had like what is that? I don't know, $55 markup, an insane markup. So I was able to spend all money on ads. And what I did is I spent $1,000, and I was literally just going for the keyword turkey fryer and maybe like 2 other ones. And I did 15,000 in sales in like 2 weeks on $1,000 ad spend. So my ACoS was like 7%, and my margins on it were obviously like super high. So even afterwards, I was still getting like 15-20%. Now, on a Webstront store, some states you'd pay tax, some you wouldn't. So that was why it was between 15-20%. But for those of you guys, like if you wanted to do PPC, like that's where I've seen it work. And again, I don't know if this is probably violating terms of service like crazy, but one other item I did it with, I found a Christmas decoration and it was selling for $99 on Home Depot. And I bought a UPC code because I couldn't find it on Home Depot. So I just made my own listing, and I obviously didn't get caught doing it, but I was spending, I was buying it for $99, selling it for $149. And then that listing, I ended up getting kicked. Amazon actually flagged it because it was a restricted product, which I don't even know how the hell that happened. It had like LED, but either way, it was restricted, and then Amazon took it down. But that also, so if you're buying a product and marking it up like crazy, that's the only times I've seen, and it's on your own UPC code. That's where the ads have worked. But look, I'll just share this real fast. Now it finally loaded.
I've had a couple clients that have done some business. Yeah, I guess that private label drop shipping. I remember seeing those guys' ads there for a while. I don't know them personally, but it's really hard to kind of piggyback on those listings if they're like, this guy sells like all sorts of furniture and he's like, included is a dust cloth. Like
right. Yeah. No, exactly. Just so you can't jump on there. That's like one of the strategies they use. So if you do find their supplier, they'll add like, exactly like you said, they'll add a little accessory so that they could differentiate the listing if someone tries to hijack them. But these are the results. Like you can see it right here. I spent 50 cents a click on average. I did 150 orders, 15,000 in sales, $1,000 in spend, 7% ACOS. 1,000. Those were insane results. You know what I mean? But it didn't. After I got ranked on page 1 for Turkey Fryer, that listing exploded. And then what ended up happening is, like, the last few days of this running, I would literally, my ad would just run out of spend in like minutes. So then I would increase the spend. I increased it to like $200. Then I increased it to $300. And I don't know how they were even doing it, because as fast as I would increase it, the spend, oh, my camera's not on. The spend just kept getting spent super quickly. So I was like, whoever the hell is clicking me out, I was like, now it's just a complete waste. And at that point, I got on page 1 for Turkey Fryer. So I was then ranking on page 1 for Turkey Fryer, and that was how I did insane sales with that listing. But yeah, hopefully that answers your guys' question with ads. Like, generally, people don't use ads for retail drop shipping, though.
Yeah, I would make a whole lot of sense. I don't think the margins are big enough, and it's like the competitive factor of it is too easy for other people to do.
Right. Yeah, and if you look, like, on average, if margins are like 10%, if your ACOS is 7%, that would knock you all down to 3. Right? So it's like,
yeah,
doesn't really make a lot of sense for retail.
So Focus 06, I believe you guys, that person's name is Dominic, right? There's some weird sounds happening. Dominic, we get our data. I can't reveal my sources for that. That is a closely guarded secret that I need to keep in-house on how we built our database. But it is a very sophisticated system that we put in place to create our database. It's the same technology that we kind of use, though, to be able to source in bulk with wholesale as well. So same technology used to be able to do the same. We can do the same thing with retail as we can with wholesale. We don't happen to list in bulk on the retail side. We've found there to be a lot more. Challenges in that side. Like with Home Depot, they have some products cost $85 to ship, some cost $75, some cost $5.99, some cost $8.99. The shipping's a little different on all of them, right? So, but no, we don't get the data from our clients. We do have a lot of data from our clients, but that's not the data that we use to build our database. Right now, like collectively, our clients have listed like a little bit over 1 million products listed from our clients currently. Our database has substantially more than that, though. So you can get access to my. I'll put like a link in the comments for how you can find my Facebook page if you want to look at my case studies. If y'all don't mind.
Man, this video could have been a course. Mark, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Send me a link to your Facebook and YouTube, and I'll put it on the video. So anyone watching this after, they could check it out.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, so guys, we've been on live for an hour and 35 minutes. So I'm gonna end this now. Smash the like button. Look in the description for a link to the Amazon Inner Circle. I also threw a link to Ecom Solutions as well. And we'll have Jason on the channel again. If you're watching this after
just
the
so
live,
you guys. Oh, my bad, Mark.
yeah, if you're watching this after live, I'll just put a link to Jason's YouTube channel and Facebook as well. But go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
No, I was gonna just say that Ecom Solutions, like that's the software that I always talk about that I use. And I honestly, like, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if I wasn't using the software. So you guys should all, if you're serious about drop shipping on Amazon, take advantage of the free trial, start using the software because it's going to help you guys out a lot. And it has a lot of powerful features that I don't even use. And it has helped my business a lot. So definitely make sure you guys take advantage of it.
And like when we started to do the done for you, we had started using SKUGrid. And yeah, I was just about to say that. And then when Matthew started the calls, we did Ecom Solutions. And when we compare the two Ecom Solutions, a lot more reliable. So all the guys who just signed up for the Done For You, all of them are using Ecom Solutions. And all the accounts that we have under management, we're moving them to Ecom Solutions now.
And Ecom looks like it was built in 2019.
Yeah.
SKUGrid looks like it was built in 1999.
Yeah, people who like to, it's like people who want a cheap platform. Yeah, SKUGrid's great, right? Like it
works.
does something. Ours does a lot of things. It's like it's a Ferrari. Like it's going to get you there a lot faster. Because we've been developing it. Like I've developed Ecom to support my store. So we have put so many things into it. Like in the beginning, it was just an inventory management platform. Then we built our orders table, and we had several different iterations of making sourcing a little bit easier. We've had tons of issues along the way of figuring out how to be a software company when in the beginning it's like I'm this guy who knows nothing about software, right? So it's had 4.5 years of development at this point, and a lot of money has been put behind the code that goes there to support drop shipping at a high level. And we continue moving towards the ability to support wholesale. That's kind of our end game, is to get to where we support wholesale. Someone asked the suppliers, we have a lot of suppliers. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but we have most of the major suppliers that anybody does retail drop shipping with.
Do you guys still add the ability to add a merchant, or has that been taken out?
That's really the wholesale side. So yeah, you can.
I remember I used to be able to, one of the webinars, I was trying to teach people how to add a merchant, and I was like, I felt stupid. I'm like, dude, I know it's in here, I just can't find it. So well, that's good to know though. So I know. Yeah. So it was in there though, but it's not right now.
It's in there. Yeah, it's in there. Like that's one of those things that not everyone gets access to unless they have certain permissions or certain modules that
I no longer have access to that then.
Yeah, probably not.
It's all good. No, it's I just want to make sure that's why, because I wasn't sure why I couldn't find that anymore. But yeah, for those of you guys that you should tell them about that, because that's a question a lot of them ask. They ask if they could add, and I always say you could, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah. We like I mentioned, I mean, it does a whole lot of different things that, it's really like, man, if I showed you our development schedule, like in the last couple months alone, we've pushed out 100+ different updates, like it's so hard to keep everyone up to date with all the updates that's constantly happening. Like the automated shipping confirmations that, I sent you a video to show you how it works. So you can figure out where you're going wrong with that. That alone has saved just hundreds and hundreds of hours of gathering shipping confirmations. You know, like that. Yeah, a lot of people still don't even know exists. You know, like it's the challenge that you have as a marketer at times is like, you know, because not everybody's always paying attention. So,
For sure.
but yeah, man, I'm happy to come on and just talk shop. I love talking drop shipping. I love just talking the game. It's fun.
Likewise, for sure.
Especially with people that are doing it.
All right, sweet. So guys, subscribe to my channel, like the video. Thank you, Jason, for being on. Thanks, Matthew, for your time.
For having me.
Again, if you want to join the Amazon Inner Circle, there's a link in the description. You can go to amznarmy.com and one of us will reach out to you. If you want to try e-com solutions for free, there's also a link in the description. So you guys go check out. It's pretty much the most powerful dropshipping software for Amazon dropshipping. So go check that out and look forward to like follow-up lives with Jason and look forward to videos on No BS dropshipping, just about more features and e-com solutions and that type of stuff. And we'll do another video later on this week so I can show my sales and talk about some of the done for you stuff and what is changing. So thanks, guys. Thanks you guys on YouTube. Look forward to like other lives later on the week and have a good one. So guys, you guys stay right there. I'm just going to stop the broadcast.
All right.
All right, guys. Later.